everybody, and this is my channel Make It Sew. Today's video is all about what I was making leading up to the Stitch Festival. Unfortunately I wasn't able to do a Friday sews again because I was getting ready to go away for the weekend, and I set myself a big task of making 3 garments to take with me. But I did manage to make them all, which was good, but apologies for the lateness in this video. So the first thing I want to show you is my Tilly and the Buttons Rosa dress. I'd previously shown you a toile that I did, which is a wearable toile, but I wasn't keen on the length of it. Everything else fit really lovely, but I needed to make it even longer. So I'll show you. So here we have Rosa, and I made it in this gorgeous purple needle cord from Roy's Material World that I purchased when I went to the knitting and stitching show at Alexander Palace in London in October last year. And my friend Claire also bought this fabric, and you'll see in my next video about the Stitch Festival that we actually wore it at the same time, but 2 different garments. So I used a variegated thread from Guttman, and it's this one. I always say the shade of CA02776, but I think it's actually, that's for quite a few things. So the actual name of it, or shade, it just says cotton 30, so I'm assuming that is that shade number. But it's got some gorgeous blues and purples in it, and I just thought that would go really nicely against this fabric and show up quite nicely. So I added 5 inches to this one instead of the 2 I did before, and that length is really good. I'm quite happy with that. And I found these gorgeous buttons when I went to Hobbycraft. I didn't have a clue. I've got so many buttons, but none of them are sets of 10 or 12, they're all odds. And when I attended a virtual sewing room session, I asked in there where I could get some nice buttons from that I could actually see rather than looking online, and someone suggested Hobbycraft, and I walked in there with no expectations, and they were the first ones I saw, so it just had to be. So I bought 12 buttons. I'd done the button holes in my machine last time, so when I did this I was a bit more confident with it. In my toile I kept having to unpick the buttonholes because it was going off like that. So this time I had a guide. So what I did was I had a top stitching along the button placket, and I just lined up the buttonhole foot so that each one was equal and looked straight when you looked at it. So that was really good. And then because of that I got very confident, and I decided why not sew my buttons on with my machine as well. My hand sewing isn't brilliant, and I have had some buttons come undone, and bearing in mind this is the whole front of the shirt dress, I really didn't want that coming undone, did I? So I worked out how to do it, and I thought I'd show you a little video of how I did it, so it might give you the courage to try it as well, because it's one of those things that once you do it you're like, why didn't I do that before? So instead of taking me about an hour to sew on 12 buttons, it took me about 5 minutes, and it was brilliant. It does say to tie them off at the end, like pull the threads through to the back. I couldn't really find how to do that, so I just used some fray check, and I also used fray check on the actual buttonholes once I'd cut them through. So I will insert that video now. So I've got a Bernina B475QE, and on it you have a buttonhole foot down here. So I've got a little button, so I just press on that, and then it tells you to drop your feed dogs because you don't want it to be gripping on the button. And you can either use a buttonhole foot, which you have to buy separately, or a darning foot, and I've got a darning foot. So I've marked where I want my button on my cuff, and I'm just going to place the button on the cuff and sit it under the machine. this is where I want my button, and to start with you just hand crank your needle so that you know it's in the right place. So I'm just going to set that up again because obviously it's not fixed in, and I get my hand crank and I just manually push that down there. And with this one it actually goes down twice by hand before it'll show the right hole, so you'll know whether you're in the right bit. I'm just going to drop my foot to hold it in place because that's gone in nicely. So that's going in again, and then it'll go to the right, and you can see that's actually hitting my button. So I'll just come up again and just manually move my button slightly because we don't want it hitting that button, do we? So that's gone in nicely now. So again, I can do it again if I want to. I'm going to go for it. And it just goes over a few times and then it does that where it indicates it's finished, and I just cut the thread and it's done. Easy peasy. So I hope you enjoyed that little clip. This is the actual pattern. I have shown it before, and normally it comes with, on the cuffs that they show you, which I did in my twirl, you actually fold the sleeve with the wrong side showing out, and I wasn't totally keen on that. Also with the tabs that come round the cuff for the button, I didn't make them as long as they could be because I'd lengthened the sleeve by 2 inches. So Tilly actually has a free hack on her website, and it's for a normal shirt cuff where you have the triangular bit going up the sleeve and then you have a little tab going over. But for some reason I tried printing it off about 4 times and it just would not match up, and after all the effort of making this lovely shirt dress, I didn't want to ruin it, so I done something by myself. So what I did was I sewed the hem up like you normally would, and then I folded it over and I fixed it on by sewing a button on the outside of the sleeve, and then I just caught it slightly on the inside, and I actually quite like that look, and I'd do that one again. It's a shame about the actual pattern that Tilly does. I tried so many different settings. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but my printer does sometimes misbehave, so maybe it was that. But I really enjoyed that. I did it in a size 6 again because that fit me really nicely, and as you'll see from the Stitch Festival, I may have purchased something to make another one. So Doris has had a quick change, as you can see, and this was my next make, and I had given you a sneak preview of the fabric I was using for this one, but obviously I couldn't reveal it until the actual date we could reveal, which was on Saturday. So this is my entry for Sew Yellow for Endo, and originally I was going to be making the Keilo Wrap Dress by Closet Core, which is this one, and it's got 3 different lengths and it's really fabric hungry. I was going to make the midi skirt with what they class as long sleeves, but as you can see they're not mega long, they're just longer than the short ones. So I got to a point where I'd done everything on it and the waistband just would not, it didn't, you're meant to have it overhang by 5/8 of an inch each side, and I thought that I could get away with not having that because for some reason it just didn't. So that was my first issue, and I could have actually just recut the waistband, but I tried it on and the fabric's lovely, but it just reminded me too much of, I know it's a wrap dress, but it reminded me of a kimono wrap that I would wear probably when I'd come out of the pool, and that wasn't the look I was going for, bearing in mind I was hoping to wear it to the Sew Yellow for Endo party. So I decided to look on Pound Fabrics again, where I got the fabric from. It's the Red Spring Flowers in a cotton poplin, and it's still there for £3.95 a metre, and I ordered another 4 meters. I am going to continue with the LED wrap dress. I've only got the waistband to recut and do, but that, like I say, I wanted a proper dress for the party. So I used a different pattern instead. And this one is just one I got from a magazine, Simple Sew Amelia tea dress. And I've made this before. It has an invisible zip, which I've never had to use, so I decided not to. But you can sign up to, I think it's Craft World. If that's wrong, I'll let you know. But you can, if you search for Amelia tea dress online, it actually comes through to this website that shows you a maxi dress version, and I just thought that would be perfect. And I still had more fabric left over from that, bearing in mind how tall I am and it goes to the floor. I still had fabric left over, more so than I did from the actual wrap dress that I'd done. So the only thing I changed this time to when I last made it was I increased the bodice by 2 inches, because where the shearing comes in, that was a bit too high up on my, well, it was above my waist, just underneath my chest. So I thought that would be better to make that a bit longer. It has this lovely gathering detail at the top, and you also have some flutter sleeves, which are really pretty and feel lovely. And you'll see, hopefully on the camera, that this is where the invisible zip should have been, but I didn't need it. Because of the shearing, it stretches over your head and over your hips. And then it had a couple of back darts as well. So I really loved making that, and I went to Lincoln, not the weekend just gone, the weekend before, to the social run by Vicky from the Sewing Bee and Kay from Fabric Corner in Lincoln, and they run a social, and a lovely lady sat next to me who watches my channel. She's called Cheryl. Hello. And she was so lovely. I met a couple of viewers actually, so that was lovely because I didn't expect that at all. But Cheryl was really helpful, and on the V-neck I haven't had the confidence to clip quite as close to the stitching as she did, and it made such a difference to how the neckline sat and how it looked, and she showed me a brilliant tip for how to sew them in future. So thank you, Cheryl, for that. I really appreciated it. I managed to do my shearing as well on my bonnet machine, and each time I changed it on the bobbin, because that's all you use, you just have shearing on your bobbin, I had to do a few test samples first because it just wasn't tight enough, but I got there in the end. I did actually do more rows of shearing than they recommend because I wanted to just use the edge of my presser for a 1/4 of an inch, so I did 9, but I think it looked really lovely and it fit really lovely and it felt lovely. So I will insert some pictures of me wearing it and also parading on my catwalk that I have. And I love it, and because of that I thought I might as well make myself another sew over it bow bag as well. If you've seen previous videos, you'll know I've made quite a few of these now, but they're great for using up fat quarters and stuff, and obviously this was in the fabric that I made with the dress. But it's got a nice yellow zip, and in the dress and also on the bag I put some lovely labels on there that I bought from Vicky, and they say keep growing. And then I just use a fat quarter for the inside that matched the floral print. So felt very lovely. So my third make for the Stitch Festival preparations was the Keilo Wrap Dress by Named Patterns. And I had the previous pattern where you just had the sleeveless version, but when this came out I quite liked the idea of the sleeves. I'm not sure if I could have drafted them myself like I've done with the Sirocco because the cut is so different. When I was doing the sleeves it did throw me to start with, because you'll see if I don't knock Doris over that the sleeve actually sits here, but you've still got this bit of material coming out where the ties are. So when you put it on flat it looks really strange because it's not meeting at the seams like the normal sleeves do. But I also I did message Julie from Julie Sews Her Own Clothes, because when I first did it there was quite a lot of bulk where the sleeve and the armhole meet, but I unpicked it, and just because I'd overlocked everything, I think I just put too much bulk on there, so that all worked. But she said to me that she hadn't had problems, but I did use a scuba, and that is a bit heavier weight. So this scuba is from Legend Textiles, and it's got some gorgeous prints on it, which I thought would be great for the Stitch Festival with the handbags and shoes. The only issue I had, which is such a shame, was I had a crossover body bag on. It was the Blackbird Fabrics bag that I'd got from Sam from So Let's Sparkle with Sam for my birthday, and the webbing, I don't know if it's the webbing, the bag, but the fabric didn't like me having something on, and it's gone very furry and bobbly. But I'm hoping that I can correct that by using one of those lint rollers, because it'd be such a shame if I couldn't wear it again, because it was lovely. I made a little feature of the overlocking as well, because I did use Maraflex to sew this up, because that's the one thing with this, there aren't any back darts like the old version, and it's always it seems to recommend to use the normal sewing machine, the stretch stitch, rather than an overlocker. So I did both. So this is the split, and I thought I'd show you what I did with my overlocker stitches. So I had 4 different colours in it, just to make it a bit different, that matched with the print on the actual fabric. And I don't know what you use, but I was being really good with these makes, and I even tied or sewed in all of my loose ends from my overlocker threads. And I used to use one of these from Prim, and I've had to put a little nail varnish on because it's exactly the same colour and style as my normal seam ripper. So I was picking the wrong one up all the time. But you'll see it's got like a little hook on it that opens up, and then you thread it through and catch it and pull through, and I could never get it to work. They just kept getting caught up with the stitches. So I now use just one of these long needles with a big eye on it. I put all the loose threads in once I've threaded it through some stitches and pull it through, and that's so much easier. It works every time. So I even did that for this one. So I will probably try and make the jumpsuit at some point, or another dress, but using a lighter weight fabric like a jersey, because that was quite warm, and I have used scuba every time. It'd be nice to try it in a different fabric. So that was my makes for the last couple of weeks, and the Rosa dress did take a while because there is so much detail on that, but I'm so pleased with that one. And so now, what have I been up to otherwise? I've been to a couple of the virtual sewing room sessions, which I always enjoy, and I attended Beautiful Things Zoom social as well, which was all great because it gave me an excuse to concentrate on my garments and get them made. And I also went to my charity sewing group, and we're still making little bags for mothers that breastfeed for the equipment that goes in there. And I took a few of my friends from the charity sewing group to visit Legend Textiles, as they'd never been before, and we went there last Wednesday, and they loved it, I think, as far as I know, because they all come home with bags of fabric. And I had pre-ordered a couple of fabrics because I will talk about it more, but I need to make some more separates for work. So the first thing I ordered, after making the last linen trousers, the Seguro pants, I think I say that right, they had this gorgeous navy linen, which was 80% cotton, and it's already been washed and ready to go. So I thought I could make some more in that, and I did get 3 meters, so there will be some leftovers for me to maybe make a vest top or something. And to go with that, although I have got quite a lot of Ponte, I do love this mustard yellow, and I thought that would make a nice Freya top to go with the trousers. And I'll still have quite a lot left, so that gives me options for some other things like another hoodie. But obviously now the sun's coming out, I'm obviously convinced the weather's going to get warmer, so I probably won't want to be making that one yet. And then while I was in the shop, I did chat to Josh quite a bit to distract myself from looking at the fabric, because it was for everybody else to go and visit and I really didn't need any more. But I did find this poly lycra, and I went for the purple one to start with that had a mustard yellow dot, but one of my sewing buddies said to me, you need to do something other than purple, why don't you go for a different colourway? So I got this one instead, which is still one of the colours I love, but I'm not sure what I'm going to make with it yet. It's very stretchy, but I was thinking of like a drapey top or something with big sleeves, and again it would go with the navy linen, but I just couldn't resist that one. And then we went to the local garden centre for cake, and I had a lovely carrot cake, which I would fully recommend if you're ever visiting Thetford and going to Legend Textiles. You need to go there for the cake afterwards because it was really nice. So that's what I've been up to. Plans for this week, I do have my So Frugal vlog to do, as I'm part of the vlogging tour, which I'm looking forward to doing. You'll find out what I'm up to in other parts of my life from that vlog. I've been doing lots of research. There's so many patterns out there, it's crazy really. I'm going to a virtual sewing room session tonight, which I'm really looking forward to. I haven't actually got planned what I'm going to do, but I've got plenty of things I could get on with. And I'm also going to be filming my Stitch Festival vlog, because I went there for 2 days and it was brilliant. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. I've had another little flurry and it just helps grow my channel and get it out there in the world of YouTube. So thank you, I really appreciate each and every one of you. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd love it if you'd join my channel. And I hope you have a lovely week with lots of sewing, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!